This is Zettelcast, brought to you by readers, writers, thinkers, and teachers from LiLLiPub, along with our partners in thought, our Zettelcastans. In this show, we share discoveries that our Zettelcastans have shown us.
There you go.
And compare notes on how we're using this marvelous invention in our creative work. Thank you for joining us.
All right, Book.
Let's do it again.
All right.
Episode 99, Makeups and Do-Overs. Hello and welcome everyone to Zettelcast episode 99. The name of this episode is Makeups and Do-Overs. And it's inspired by the fact that, we've had a number of episodes, quite a number of episodes that were in some way Roanoke related. And by some way, I mean where at least one of us took the prompt provided by another person and chose to use it to further the Roanoke story. But and quite a few of them, we all did that because the prompt was really about that. But so we've had a bunch of these, but not everybody has been able to be on every episode. And there have been a number of these where we've gone, gosh, I hope that, whoever that wasn't there gets a chance to do this because it was so helpful for us. And so this is our chance, makeups and do-overs. And so we all chose which ones we wanted to do. I'm going to be doing a do-over. It's kind of a hybrid because there was one episode where I gave an IOU for activity number 2. And so I'm fulfilling the IOU in a certain way. And we'll get to me. But who would like to go first and tell us what episode and what was the prompt and what have you got?
I'd be glad to.
Yay!
Okay, so the prompt that I am working with is Bring the Fire. It was an episode that Mel led in May 19th, episode 87, and I was absent for that episode. So I've used this as a makeup, and it's the perfect opportunity to advance the story of Helen, who has been trying to engage herself in a real conversation, if you've been following along. So where we left her, she had just come back from What's Wants, where she, for the very first time, entered the want door instead of the need door, and came home with something from a section called Memory Keepers. So we're going to pick the story up where she gets home with her object in her hands. When Helen returned home from What's, she was excited to share her purchase with Freddie. "It's a Lucasa," he exclaimed, taking the wind out of her sails with his instant recognition. "How did you—" He stumbled a bit, looking for words. "It's for sharing our memories, our memories, our shared times." "Ooh, a Lucasa!" It was Becky, their oldest, arriving home from a dance class, dropping her backpack like a forgotten toy as she approached her parents and the small object in her father's hands. "It's for us, for our memories. Your mother brought it home." "Ma? You?" "Mom did what?" Now Lila and Angela poured out of their rooms to join what was obviously shaping up as a moment of excitement. "Where did you get it?" Lila wanted to know. "Well, what's, of course. A fellow named Ronnie helped me pick it out." "Cool, Ronnie? Nothing like the owner of the place giving you personal attention. You said hi for me, I hope." "No, but he did appear to know you." "I feel a bit special." "Except he seemed to think you weren't capable of being serious about anything." "What did you tell him?" "That he was wrong. You were very good at problem solving." Now everyone was laughing, but Helen wasn't quite sure why. "So what are we going to do with the Lucasa?" Lila wanted to know. Helen hadn't thought of it being the whole family, but why not? We're going to share memories with it. Let's make it a game, Angela volunteered, to a response of nodded heads and cheers. Okay, round one. Share a memory that includes a color. State the color first and then the memory. But what about dinner? I haven't even started cooking. Let's just have ice cream, Lila offered, and cherry pie. Most of the pie is still in the fridge. Most of it? Who's gotten into it? And what about a proper meal? I declare a mixed leftover night, Freddie said in his most imperial role-playing voice. With that, they invaded the kitchen and managed a meal that was actually borderline healthy, despite the groups downing all the rest of the cherry pie and much of a half-gallon of double vanilla ice cream. By the time they returned to the family room, the rules of play were fairly thoroughly hammered out, and Helen felt as though she was along for the ride, even tentatively foregoing her need for her usual motherly control. Everyone had a color memory to share, and when Helen's involved Christmas colors, the play spontaneously shifted to memories around specific seasons. Christmas and Thanksgiving were especially delightful for Helen as she listened to her family share treasured memories. Yet, when the seasons shifted to summer, she began to feel a little left out. Some of her children's fondest memories were activities she had declined to take part in, like floating down the river in inner tubes. She had opted to stay home and make potato salad. But the worst of all was the round where everyone was challenged to remember the time we laughed the hardest.
Hmm.
The occurrence was so hilarious that 2 years later, her family could not stop laughing long enough for a coherent description. Helen had been in the kitchen cleaning the stovetop. It was a boil-over mess, she explained as the excuse for her absence. Mom, you're the only person I know who can make spaghetti without getting a single splatter of tomato on stove or counter. It was the noodles. But why had cleaning up toasted spaghetti noodle water seemed so important at that moment? Didn't you hear us laughing? I was glad you were having fun. After that, it seemed to Helen that everyone was talking at once, and everyone had their own ideas about how she should prioritize her life. This was no longer fun at all. Hey guys, stop. Can't you see you're upsetting your mother? Freddie came to her side and put his arm around her. You do so much for us, and we probably take it all for granted. I think what the girls are trying to suggest is that maybe you take on too much. There are things that have to be done around here, and who's going to do them if I don't? So, name the latest thing you had to do. Okay, I had to make breakfast. Like we couldn't each make our own breakfast? This was Becky, the eldest, piping in. No, but we wouldn't all eat together if everyone made their own breakfast. I like that, eating together in the morning, Angela said thoughtfully. Me too, Lila, this time. I want to save a memory about eating breakfast together. Everyone nodded. It was that time I had to go back to school the next day after Roger kissed me. It was so gross. And everyone was saying he was my boyfriend. I didn't even want to go, but you guys all helped me face it. Angela added, I remember the time we were going on a field trip at school and everyone got up extra early so we could still all eat together before I had to leave. Everyone, it seemed, had a memory to add. Freddie rounded it out and then added, maybe we should take turns being the breakfast maker. We all agree that it's great to start off the day sharing a meal together. The girls stared at him like a herd of deer in a shared headlight. Well, Helen shrugged her shoulders. Maybe I'll change that from being something I have to do to something I want to do. No, Helen, really, girls, We all take everything your mother does for us for granted, and we don't even think about how much she misses out on when she's busy serving us. I don't want anybody to miss out. It was Lila speaking. Can't we just do the work as a team? Yeah, the important part is eating together, not that we get maple baked pancakes, Freddie supplied a bit wistfully. So it was settled. They would find a way to team up to get breakfast on the table. But in the spirit of sharing things missed out on, Becky suggested that in the next round of Memory Keeper, each person should share a memory that no one else in the family knew anything about.
Oh.
That one delivered some surprises as eyebrows were raised at some of the antics the girls had gotten into. But no one could top Helen's memory of being offered a ride on the vein. What? The voices chorused. And you backed out? Wondered Lila. Mom, you deserve to have an adventure. But for Helen, being surrounded by her family and really participating in all that was going on around her was all the adventure she need ever dream of having.
Yahoo!
Aw,
Yeah.
very nice.
Yay, Freddie!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah. And cherry pie and ice cream making up the largest part of the meal. I'm in.
Could I have the pancake, please? asking for the princess.
Right.
I don't mind following that. Any other comments before we jump on? No?
I'm just going to add some little piddly, nickely things. And these are the sorts of things that happen probably for any writer writing a book, but when multiple authors are writing a book, it happens. And it has to do with the names.
Yeah.
So two things that jumped out at me. One is that Ronnie's the kid, Reggie's the adult. And you
Oh, I had them backwards.
You reversed them. That's cool. But the other is Angela and Angie Weir. I think we probably want to avoid such similar names. Okay. I ran into that also when Margaret appeared.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I had Chris having
Marjorie?
Marjorie, I think that's different enough.
Okay.
But Peg, Aunt Peg is somebody, and Peg being some people are named Peggy, but usually Peg is kind of a nickname for Margaret. So I'm changing that to Aunt Fiona, and there it is. So I wouldn't have brought it up at all in this if it weren't like, well, this is a thing you have to do sometimes. Yeah. Also, I mean, I've gotten confused about names myself. I've been talking about Aunt Cassie in all of our author calls. It's not Aunt Cassie. It was Aunt Peg, and now it's Aunt Fee, and I have to change a bunch of stuff. Because Cassie is somebody else, and her name is used in a particular scene in a certain way, and it just has to be that way.
Good point. Yeah. That's just part of it. Things, you get far enough in and you start seeing patterns, or you start thinking about things in a certain way. And yeah, I mean, my main female character in my novel, I had to change her age by 10 years because I got halfway in and realized, oh crap, she can't be that old. So yeah, it works.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
so
right.
Speaking of time, so the challenge that I missed was number 96, which was Mel's time challenge. And he had foreshadowed this weeks in advance, so we knew that this was coming. And so for the first part of that challenge, well, for the whole project, honestly, I feel like I've been kind of sitting just outside of the arena, observing everything going on. And because I couldn't, and we've talked about this, I couldn't find my footing in the story. And it didn't help that the first character that I wrote didn't feel to me a real part of the world. So I set her aside and I did the first part of the challenge initially, because for me, I always start with a mind map. And so that is where I began in my Roanoke journal. And I just went through and loosely penciled out, don't look too close, no freezing and reading. It's okay. You won't know what any of it means anyway. And so I did that first. And that helped me kind of close my lens in on a place where I felt like I could, at this stage of the game, insert a character and it wouldn't come completely out of left field. And so that started with Deb's character of Kelly Newberg. And I thought, well, what if I have someone meet her in kind of a significant way that points in a direction? So that is where that started, that point in time. And then Julianne made the suggestion that perhaps that character could be the mother of one of the younger characters, and that's what really set things in motion. So then to complete this exercise, of course, and I'm gonna clip a note card over this so that you can't read this. But of course, the first thing I had to do was color code my characters. So everybody has a color, as well as, and I can show this page from back here. I've got Act 1, 2, 3, and 4. I've got my midpoint marked. So I'm really starting to figure out her character arc. And then for the part that I covered up, you can see that's kind of a loose flow chart of how I get her from one piece to the next piece. And here's the thing. The reason it was important to me to share this is the first story that I have ever tried to pants. I am not a pantser. That's where I was stuck. And by sitting down with my colored markers and my characters and my colored Post-it notes and going, okay, pick a point in time. So I did. And I was able to see backwards and forwards from that point and then start tucking in, just like you would into a plot box or a time box, which is my upcoming course, by the way. I was able to see at a much closer level how things fit together. And so just by having that one point in time and that one character, then I was able to address the event, which shall remain unnamed, that kind of changes her perspective and her life dramatically. And then, of course, making her the mother of another character. Well, I had to make that fit somehow because this character is of a certain age. And so then it's like, well, crap, I need 9 months of her being pregnant when she's not suffering from this event. So then it like, okay, that's locked in. I can't change that. That's nature, man. So once I had those pieces, then I was able to start asking questions, leading questions about the story, which that is 100% part of my process, is look at the pieces on the board and start asking questions about either how they're related or if there is an action, what is the reaction or the consequence? So, then yeah, so that gave me the bookends from the time that she shows up to the time that her storyline is resolved, which gets me kind of Act 3 into 4, depending on how that shakes out. But it was, without question, the most valuable exercise that I've done. And totally reaffirmed for me that I am a plotter. I can't just sit down and try to write a story. I mean, I've been stuck for the whole year because that's what I was trying to do. And once I nailed it down, it's like we've always said, when you make a choice, that choice cancels another one. And so you take that piece off the board. And that's one way of moving your way through the story is make a choice, make it a dot in time, and then remove the other choices and keep moving that forward. And you just keep doing that until you strip away all the things that won't work. So that's what I did. And I found it just immensely useful and productive. So there you go. Yay, Mel.
Not to mention giving us a preview of the value of the time box when your course comes to life.
Well, truth be told, I think the fact that I was writing the textbook for that course at the same time that I was really thinking about this, I mean, that kind of synchronicity, you can't make that stuff up because, you know, I was in the depths of explaining how to do this and thought, duh, why don't I do that? And the cool thing was, it reaffirmed for me because I did the exercise with my own novel, but I know all of those pieces. With this project as a collaboration, I don't. And so it gave me double proof that my system works no matter what you apply it to, if you just follow the pieces and the system and do it, because it without question got me out of the stuckness that I'd been in. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right.
You know, I think the way that you just described this, and you've probably done so in your teaching, can definitely be applied to a pantser as well. It's, you know, the pantser might not need all of the setup, but the kinds of questions like pick a point in time, go.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I've coached when I've had author calls for people that they see all of the things and are like, I'm overwhelmed, I can't do all that. That's my advice. What day does your story start on? Well, I don't know. What's your favorite scene? It's this one. When does that scene happen? Is it summer or winter? Oh, well, it's summer. Okay, now we're talking. So yeah. You're right. Yeah.
Speaking as a pantser myself, I need the wide open, chaotic time to create, but then once some things have been created, that's when the organizational tools come in.
To capture it all in retrospect, huh?
Yeah. To apply some more, and you know, I figure things out in addition as part of the organizational process, but I have to have that raw creative output to begin with in order to apply the organization to. If I try to start with the organization, then I don't have anything to put in the boxes.
Fair. Yeah.
I start with a question. I always start with a question. And then I noodle the question and I back and forth, brainstorm here, brainstorm there, and then get a spark. And then I grab my super notes, my scribble pad, and I start to write. That's my process. And then I type it up and print it out. So yeah. Wow.
A lot of my process you could learn if you read my meditation journal. In my meditation journal, where I am not sitting down to think about Roanoke.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not sitting down to think about Roanoke. Inevitably, I end up thinking about Roanoke. Inevitably. It's just page after page after page and there was Roanoke again. Now, the me that shows up for Roanoke during meditation is kind of different from the me who shows up for Roanoke out in normal life. The me that shows up for Roanoke when I have already started meditating, it's usually like, this is a little probably TMI, but it's like 15 minutes of, staying with what I'm trying to do, and then I find, oh my God, the last 15 minutes, there I was again, Roanoking. But the me that was Roanoking is much more carefree, which is a great state of mind to be doing that in. It's just not what I sat down for.
Yeah.
And so it's like I'm ornery inside here.
Yeah, that's true. I 100% agree with that, because when you get a story in you, it's going to come out, and it's going to dog you until it does, and it's going to find ways.
Yeah, it's finding them.
Yep. So true.
Tugging on my shirt. Okay, who'd like to go next?
I'll go next.
All right.
So the episode that I'm making up is episode 97, which was about closing the timeline gaps. It followed immediately after my time box one, where we were to write an outline and or a scene to fill in a gap that we had found in our timelines that we discovered. And the gap that I had found was that currently Javi just sort of shows up in LC and at the Henge. And yeah, okay, there's a throwaway line that he learned about it in school, but really, how did he learn about the Henge and why did he decide to go there? And Julianne had proposed a character named Theo, which I liked that name, having been an influence, and perhaps I can't remember which of us figured this out, but is the one that taught Javi how to play Turing completionist. So I wanted to get a start on writing that scene. I didn't write a full scene, but got a good start on it. Javi stared. Oh, and he's probably like middle school age, 13-ish at this point. Javi stared at the black and white stones scattered across the game board and tried to work through the pattern permutations he had memorized. For a second, he thought he had it, but then he lost the threads and it collapsed. Theo sat impassively on the other side of the picnic table, face unreadable as always. One finger slowly started to tap the tabletop. Javi gulped and quickly placed a black stone on the board. Interesting, Theo said. He quickly placed his white stone in just the right place to collapse Javi's patterns. When the carnage was over, only a couple black stones remained, and there was no way for Javi to save his remaining colonies. Theo held out his hand. Good game, young man. Tonight, study the Bruno paradox and see if that doesn't help with your strategy. Theo, how did you learn all this? Theo was silent for a long moment. I'll tell you about that when the time is right. For now, why don't you come up with some theories?
I love it.
Very good.
Here we have another person who just won't answer a question.
Oh,
Right?
very, very, very Lydian. Very
Yeah.
Lydian. Yeah.
Mm.
Love that. I can see it. I can see them with the picnic table and
Yeah.
collapsing colonies.
That's great. Oh no.
Okay, then I guess it's me.
It could be. Could be.
Yeah, well, everybody has sung a song. It's time for me. Okay, so this comes directly out of the pushback that I've received last week before, don't remember, whenever it was. There was a pushback. And a pushback that came out of episode 40.
I think it was 44, maybe.
44. It's not in.
No, not 44. It was 43, called Rites of Passage.
Oh,
If you're talking about the
and
pushback we were all a part of.
yeah, but That is the that is the place where we were talking about the pushback, and it is 40, 43. But I was there, and you have me on the missing list on that one.
Yeah, you're gonna data quality issues.
That's okay. Not a problem. Not a problem because my response has nothing to do with my absence of presence. It only has to do with Peter Pan Me, the story that I wrote. And basically, it was about the write-up room and what about the write-up room and whether or not a quote, quote, tribunal had any place at all on Lydia. Because this is a place where noodling is praised, thinking is praised, having adventures, mental adventures is praised, being curious is praised. And so the idea of having somebody or something or some tribunal telling you, no, I don't care what you wrote, you're not ready to get married. That is, it's like it flies in the face of everything else that we know about Lydia. So I was thinking about that and I said, that makes some sense. Okay, so how are we going to make it so that Peter Pan Me makes sense anywhere else in the story? And so I came up with something that I call the case of the write-up room's trial. So basically, we put the write-up room on trial.
All right, I love it.
Yeah. And so it turned out to be like 22 pages. So I'm not going to read all of that, right? But the first part of it, I'll read. The trouble began with a sentence that nobody could find an author for. Not ready for marriage. The young woman stared at it for a long time. Then she laughed, not because it was funny, but because she had spent 11 hours in the write-up room answering questions about the life she imagined living. And nowhere in those 11 hours had she remembered agreeing that anyone else could decide whether she was ready to live it or not. The room was empty now, except for her, the desk, 3 standing panels, and the small illumination above the door. Peacock protocol, swan strategy, prism pathway. She had written beneath none of them. That apparently was the problem. She read the sentence again, not ready for marriage. Her response, according to whom? The room did not answer. Good, she thought. At least the furniture knew its place.
Yay!
That's great.
Yay!
So that was most of page 1. Okay, so that was, and then I thought, well, I can't read all of that. So let me see if I can scrunch it down to something like a kind of a sonnet. And so there are 2 types of sonnets I found out. I was used to the Shakespearean sonnet, but I'm not sure how you pronounce this man's name, Petruchian or something, Petrucon, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Victoria?
That's good enough.
That's good enough. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the first one is the Shakespearean model. Not ready for marriage, read the claim, though no one could say who had started that right. A room designed to make the mind take sight had learned to judge while keeping still its name. The peacock, the swan, and prism word of fame. Three ways of thought, not fences drawn too tight, yet examples harden quietly to write. Till readiness replace the room's first aim. The hinge let living memory testify. We cannot make them ready, cannot know. We can only make the thoughtless question why. The judgment vanished. Harder questions grow, yet still may help the private thou decry, but never choose the road that thou must go. And I flipped them. This is the Petrarchian one. Okay. So that was that one. And the other one is 4 words appeared, not ready for marriage. She asked what voice had gained the right to judge. A room designed to question life's own carriage, had learned by increments to bound its budge. The peacock, swan, and prism once were frames, 3 ways to test what joining lives might mean. But useful models hardened into claims, and readiness crept where thought once had been. The hinge recalled the room's forgotten ground. We cannot make them ready, cannot know. We make it hard for thoughtlessness to sound. The verdict fell, the questions grew deeper. Let ye bring light where thou hast yet to see, but what thou must become, let thou decree.
Ah,
So
Very nice.
yeah, very nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, the one you struggled with, it came from Petrarch, which Mel, isn't he a Greek scholar? I think. This sounds like Mel's territory. A scholar
I
and a
remember right.
philosopher, maybe?
I thought he
Yeah,
was Italian, but maybe not.
he was
No,
Italian.
you're right.
But he was involved in the sort of classical Renaissance of the early Renaissance, if I remember right. All of my learning about him has come through audiobooks recently, so it's not
Mm,
solidly in my mind, but I do remember.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Cool.
yeah.
Because it was the time when some of the ancient, like Aristotle and the works of Plato, were being rediscovered, having been saved in the Arabic countries, the Muslim countries, and they were becoming available again in Europe. And so there was sort of a neoclassical renaissance at the time.
Nice.
They
Sorry
went
for the
viral.
pop quiz. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, way to respond to
Lovely.
pushback, Deb.
Woo.
Yeah, well, it just thinking about it, it's like, okay, fair is fair. Let me re-examine this and see, what's up. And I said, yeah, there is no room on Lydia for a tribunal. What that is definitely anti-Lydian, or not even anti. It doesn't exist. It doesn't even exist to not exist. There is it can't find it could never find roots
Yeah.
there. So but I had to figure out a way for it to have been there in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So it morphed. It morphed. But then because somebody raised a question, one
Yeah.
person raised a question, then other people began to think, oh, yeah, let's re-examine this. And no spoilers, they got it together and
Yeah.
Yeah.
changed it around.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic.
And we got some spectacular writing to come out of that.
Yeah.
two great sonnets, but man, the one I really love is the furniture at least knows its place.
Yeah.
So good. So good.
That's the
Nobody's gonna
sentence of
tell
the
me
week.
what to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Well, rounding out this round table, what I chose to do, I found from the transcript, oh yeah, I didn't actually do this. I was looking through all the activities, like, well, what did I do for that? Turns out nothing. I said, I'm going to have to give you an IOU. So this was, well, darn it. I was going to write what episode it was from. It was earlier. Let me just take a gander at the file. It was one of Deb's, and I'm just going to search for something. Okay, it was episode 67, Time Ticks, and there were two activities, and I very happily did activity one, and then everybody else was sharing activity two, and I was like, oh, I didn't even do that. So I'll read what activity two was supposed to be. Please give some thought to what it might be like to live at the intersection of a transformative trilogy. And then Dev gives a couple of pairs, and each of you could choose pairs that would all go with the phrase, time lied to me. And so it was loss, lessons, wounds, wonder, poison, potion. And then tell us about the life of any character living at that intersection. And so what I had promised in episode 67 was that I was inspired to do something related to Malcolm, who is Jenna's father. And but I wasn't quite ready to do it yet, and I wasn't. I keep building my readiness to deal with Malcolm. But here we go. What I'm going to share is a deep outline. It's not a full story. It's about 350 words of a deep outline, which with my way of going is probably going to be, over 1,000 words of a scene. And it's called Grandfathers in the House. Jenna and Malcolm discuss the MacGuffin that she received from What's What's. It's a book that she already knows well. It's kind of a Bible at LTA, where she works. The book's author goes by the pen name Pseudonymph. The MacGuffin is not just any copy of the book, it's the original handwritten manuscript. And what a beautiful thing it is. She can't believe her great luck in receiving it. Malcolm points out that because she's already familiar with the content, to write it in cursive herself could make for wonderful practice. And this very idea is suggested in Get Good at Longhand, which she got at What's What's. So the two of them discuss Malcolm's attitude toward MacGuffins that he has received from Watts over the years. Now, Malcolm is the person who calls it that. And a MacGuffin, just for people to know, is a name of a plot device in cinema where there's some kind of object that turns out to be meaningless. And Watts will give you, you're checking out and suddenly they stick something else in your cart and you don't know where it came from. And he's gotten a number of these over the years. And he, in the Watts chapter, is all huffy about receiving another one. It turns out it wasn't for him. But the two of them discuss Malcolm's attitude toward MacGuffins that he has received from Watts over the years. There's one he literally can't get rid of, despite hating the very sight of the thing. There's another, an interesting looking board game called Turing Completionist.
Oh.
Malcolm has never played it. It's for two players. Jenna says, let's play it together. She remembers that Javi was playing that game in the Henge arcade, but got the impression he was playing solo. The memory of Javi and the Henge gift shop inspires Jenna to look up Lumen from Malcolm's Zettelcast. She's remembering the quote on the ceiling with its unfamiliar citation. She finds 2 entries in Malcolm's index with different address schemes. It turns out the first entry is Malcolm's and the second is her grandfather's.
Oh.
Interestingly, the address in the second index entry matches the gift shop's citation. Exactly. Jenna, having grown up around centuries, never shrugs off a coincidence. Malcolm had wondered about the same thing, but never got anywhere with that mystery. Malcolm notes that his index includes only some of his father's entries. He has been merging them opportunistically and admits that he hasn't been as disciplined with that as when he started. Now that he has a Scoochie pen, it might be easier to merge them. It's not just a matter of copying, though. Malcolm has a strong preference for taglines in his index, and his father's uses only topics.
Oh.
In any case, Malcolm shows Jenna where to find his father's full index. She's intrigued at the opportunity to meet this man she never knew in this way. She finds a sizable number of entries under Malcolm. Dad, did you know your name is in here? A lot? Yes, he was a bit of a proud papa, Malcolm replies modestly. Jenna keeps on looking through the Malcolm entries and finds a number of them tagged TC. She takes a look at what these entries point to. Dad, these look like scorecards.
You're gonna leave us there.
I'm leaving you there.
Turing completion scorecards.
Very.
Okay.
Yep. A game that he's never played.
Yeah, with his name on it. Yeah.
Plot thickens.
Yeah.
Oh, very good, very good.
I love their relationship. So great.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're kind of, well, they're partners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still parent and child, but they're partners too.
Well, that's just cool because we call them kids, but they have gotten to the point where, those relationships evolve and you can have a different kind of connection. And I mean, you've just demonstrated it beautifully. Their relationship is so great.
Yeah.
They're the family that you want to hang out with at a barbecue.
Yeah.
When you're grilling eggplant for Kathleen.
Hey, I also
Goofy
respond to
will
Carrot
definitely
Dog.
show up and provide puppetry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this was a
Wow.
good one. I like this. This is good.
Great episode.
When I was going through, well, what ones do I want to do? I just looked over the last year's worth of episodes that were Roanoke related. And I wrote a little, reminder to myself, well, what was it that I submitted for that? And I wasn't looking at the ones where I was the host. I was looking at the ones where somebody else was the host. And in literally all of them, I found, well, there's more water in that well. I could definitely do over any of these.
Yeah.
I could and so I chose the Malcolm one because I had said, well, I had give you an IOU. But that was really the deciding factor. That I think it's part of the dynamic of writing in this group together, even if we weren't writing the same novel.
Yeah.
The practice of giving each other prompts.
Yeah.
And I think you could make a lot of these prompts work. Even if you're just writing fan fiction, instead of your character interacting with another author's character in in your writing group. It could be your character interacting with a character in the fiction that you're fanning.
Yeah.
And a lot of these very, very mind-blowing in many ways.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
So, highly recommend.
Very good.
Well, you can't beat a good question.
No, no, you can't.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, and these are a lot of them super open-ended.
Yeah.
Which is works for pantsers and plotters.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And everyone's questions are so unique and very challenging. And I love it, especially when I'm not the creator of the question for the week, because it's always a challenge involved with it. So
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times the creator of the question might have formed a question that matches exactly what they want to write.
yes.
But that's fine. That's
Mhm.
fine. We all find our way to fit ourselves into it. And yeah, it's there's gold in them thar hills.
Uh,
Yeah.
Well, Kathleen.
Hey, Kathleen, if
Yeah.
people wanted to find our hills, where would they go?
They would come to LiLLiPub, LiLLiPub.org. It's where we hang out when we aren't here in YouTube land. Come on over to LiLLiPub.org. We really do have a lot of fun over there.
We do.
You and LiLLiPub.
Bye.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.